All right, guys, in the last one, we did a lot of stuff with Aspen. We went to her meeting. She didn't get the best news ever. Apparently, there's like 1,000 mark. Wait, no, that was in the last episode. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I just woke up. Um, we had a big old discussion with Juliet about how we need to help Aspen, but also really help ourselves and make sure that we're taken care of, essentially. Just like healthy, generally good advice, while being in a relationship. So, that's what we're going to go with. And why did I just get like 80 emails from Supas? What the Anyways, and now we're gonna go to Haititi Park for like hopefully a rehearsal for this play that we're a part of, because like we haven't done anything with it in like a week, so the rehearsals for the play carry on regularly over the month. We have at least one every week and sometimes more. You should absolutely be doing more. Although I don't go to every single one of them, I go to lots. Aspen and Juliet are probably more excited about it than I am, and always encourage me before I go, even though I've told them several times I'm not really participating that much. Out of the entire cast, there's definitely no one who works as hard as Lena and Cyrus do. Not only do those two have the most lines, but they have the most energy too. Cyrus? Considering considering how quiet Cyrus is when he's not acting, watching and hearing him perform with so much emotion is like seeing a whole new person. I kind of hope that we get to see a little bit of that. That'd be nice. Even though the play isn't until December, more than a month away, neither of them ever slack off. Oh, we're super not getting to that in this chapter, right? What the freak? When I'm there, I sometimes help out with things like organizing the props or handing out refreshments. The actual performance will be on a real stage, but we haven't been able to use one for practice yet. Sometimes I do have to perform my part, which mostly means standing still in my costume, but sometimes having to move around. I'm not totally sure why they don't just use fake trees, but it's okay, because those have to be like put on the stage by other people. Actor trees can walk on and place themselves. Although I wasn't exactly looking forward to being a part of this at first, the more I spend at rehearsals, the more fun I have. Even though I have to meet most of the cast every time, they're all pretty friendly and easy to get along with, and even I can see the improvement that happens every week. Everyone is getting better, not just Lena and Cyrus. Occasionally other people in the park will stop by to watch for a bit, and they always clap or cheer when we're done or when they leave. Overall, the play is a nice distraction from the worries of my everyday life. It's nice to have one thing that I don't have to stress about. There's still a long way to go, but I know that means we'll improve even more There's still a long way to go, but I know that means we'll improve even more before the real thing. Surprising even myself, I'm looking forward to showing everyone just how hard we've been working. Oh, that's so fun. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, it's super not totally happening, but I'm also glad that it's like this chapter, I mean. Also, what the freak? Who's knocking out? Who can even get up to our window? Is there a tree outside our window? That's what we could be like climbing up to? What the freak? I don't assume it's just like a drop. I guess it could be like silver or something, but like, what the freak? But I am really looking forward to it. And again, I hope that they don't like just skip over, like, and then we did the play. That'd be so lame. I hope they don't do that. More water. It's late and the moon is high in the sky when there's suddenly a knock at my window. I burst up from my spot on the floor where I'd been dozing.
What the?
In the darkness, it takes a moment for me to discern the face behind the glass. When I do, it turns out to be the last person I expect. It's going to be Silver, the first person I expected.
Silver?
I pull open the window to where Silver's perched on the branch of a nearby tree.
How did...
Okay, so there is a tree nearby that she could perch on. Look at me go. I'm thinking of all the things.
Why not just use the door?
Come outside. I would speak with you.
Don't you mean I would like to speak with you, please? Come on. I mean, that's fine grammar, too. I was just making a bad joke. It's fine. Ignoring my questions like always, Silver stands up. I catch the corner of a cocky smile before she leaps from the branch, plummeting towards the ground below.
Hey.
Clutching the windowsill, I jam my head out the window, expecting to see her crumpled on the grass. Instead, I'm just in time to watch her nimbly land on her feet and transform before running off into the darkness behind the library. We haven't seen her fox form at all, and I was thinking about that in the last session that we did, like the last 3 episodes. I can't call it the last session because you guys don't know how many of these I record at a time, you know what I mean? I was like, we've never actually seen her as a fox, and that's weird. I hope that we get to soon. With no time to wait or even think about it, I follow after her. Of course, I take the stairs and go out the front door first. I transform right away and wrap around the building, expecting to have to chase after Silver, even though she came here. Instead, she hasn't gone far at all. Just beyond the edge of the yard, she stands in her human form and stares out at the city below us. Many windows are dark, but many are illuminated too. The street lights and lamps stand lit, even with no one to use them. A warm yellow glow pushes away the darkness at the edges of town. Changing forms back as well, I walk over to stand beside her. Without looking at me, Silver extends an arm in front of her, as if reaching for the city. It's her wrist with the bracelet on it, and her bead shines in the dark like another street lamp. Blah, blah, blah. Unhooking my necklace, I hold it out alongside hers. The glow of my bead is about as bright as hers. Scoffing, Silver lowers her arms and I put my necklace back on. I wait for her to start talking instead of saying anything myself. I find myself doing this a lot with Aspen and Juliet as well, although here it's different. Not only was Silver the one who came to me, but anything I say would probably be ignored anyway. Sure enough, it isn't long before she twirls around to point a finger in my face.
Because I'm only going to tell you this once.
Are you here to tell me that we're best friends now and that you want to hang out more and we're going to go do cool adventures together? Is that what you're going to say? Probably not, but it's hopeful thinking. That's one more time than I usually get. I just nod, signaling for her to continue.
I simply couldn't watch you continue to wallow in ignorance. Whereas your magic causes those you encounter to forget about you, mine assists me in a different way. It tells me the truth of things, of people, human and fabled alike.
Wait, well, when you told your story, the reason I thought that her power was like, oh, some like, I bumped my desk, some kind of like attack thing, is because like she was like, my power's activated, and then I slaughtered the humans, and it's like, so Miho gets a forget me spell, and you get like a Super Saiyan transformation or something like that. Like that's how I've been thinking about it, something like that. So that's weird.
Their emotions are as colors. Fear, like everything else, has its own glow. I've seen it ignite in my presence, at my command. In this way, I've survived. The betrayal of their hearts is twofold. They reveal unseen feelings that they try to mask with words. And the hearts of men are fickle besides. I've seen boredom turn to cruelty, fear become hatred. This is what I see, and you do not. The truth that lies behind all promises and pretenses. Today's friends are tomorrow's bitter foes.
Sorry. Hang on. This is gonna sound so... I dropped my mouse. Hang on. I'm struggle busing right now. I got a new chair. Hang on. I'm recording this after Christmas. Hang on. Get. So I'm recording this after Christmas, okay? And I have a new office chair because my last one didn't offer me any back support or anything like that, and the armrests were like super hard and not comfortable, so like using them was like bruising my elbows. And I was sitting here like, oh, I don't really want to be leaning back. I want to be like sitting up straight, so I was trying to lock my chair in while all that was going on, and I couldn't remember that the switches to do that were on the handles, so that's why I'm fumbling. I'm so sorry. I've been paying attention. I've been sitting here intently staring at my screen while just like groping my chair. It's been an experience. Hang on.
You should know all this. I know what it's like to be one of us. I know what you've lived through.
Oh?
And yet, even now...
She cuts herself off and scoffs. Or maybe it's her choking something back.
Right now.
To give her an out, I ask a question instead. Her eyes narrow, but with concentration, not irritation as I stand there. I match her gaze. This is the first time we've really spoken normally instead of her trying to pick a fight or hide from me. She's the first to look away, speaking to the ground.
Of young spring.
So like a nice pleasant green and or pinkish is what I would guess from that.
It's difficult to read the aura of our kind, requiring my concentration and focus. Even then, it's but a pale glow. With humans and most others, they cannot hide their light from me if they wanted to.
For some reason, it always throws me off. Like, every like 5, 6 episodes will throw me off that I need to click after they say something. Where I'm like, it makes sense that I need to click something for them to continue speaking. I'm just not like it just throws me off.
About me, right? Even though everyone else does.
Well, then that like how does that work with Cello though? Why doesn't she forget? That's a part that's like stuck out to me. It's a weird little detail that they threw in of Cello remembers and that the other two specifically don't. But then they kind of like just brush past it really fast. Like Miho's like, it's a mystery for another day, which I respect, not worrying about every little thing in life. But to me as the reader, I'm like, ooh, that's gotta mean something. She nods. I want to know what that color means to her. I also want to know why she's choosing to just tell me this after dodging everything else I've ever asked her. I'm sure she wouldn't tell me if I tried. But there is something else that I do have to ask, because I'm pretty sure I already know the answer. I'm doing such a terrible job at reading this, I'm so sorry. But there is something else that I do have to ask, because I'm pretty sure I already know the answer.
Have you ever told anyone else?
Staring at the ground, it takes a long time before Silver shakes her head. I don't think Silver's quite as old as I am, but she still spent. I don't think Silver's quite as old as I am, but she still spent decades on her own, if not longer, just like me. In all that time, any chances I might have had to do something different or change something, I just let pass me by. I never had any idea what I might be missing. Beside me, Silver adjusts her mask and shifts her weight to her good leg. She's about to transform and probably run away. She had to have some reason for bringing me out here, right? Was she hoping that I'd be the one to extend the hand? I think she'd get along with Aspen and Juliet once she had some time to warm up to them. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be having this conversation with her right now. Before she can change, I suddenly reach over and put my hand on Silver's shoulder. She stiffens and goes tense beneath my fingers, pulling away inconceivably fast, facing me from a few meters away. I don't need to be able to read auras to detect the anger emanating from her. Damn it, that was dumb, even for me. Holding up my hands, I try to show that I won't do it again. Wanted to help her? Saying that would definitely make her hate me. Instead, I clamp my jaw shut before I can make things worse. For a moment, her face softens and she looks torn. She dispels that by shaking her head. Within seconds, she's a fox, and then she's part of the night, vanished into the darkness. This time, I don't even think about chasing her. I would have gone upset too if one of my friends had done that to me early on. Yeah, too. But I don't think she'll hold it against me, at least not any more than the rest of my existence. After all, I realized way too late her coming here in the first place was already her reaching out. And if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that you can't rush these things.
Sorry. I hope I'll see you again soon.
I don't yell, but I don't whisper either. I'm pretty sure that she's still close enough to be able to hear me. I've done about as much as I can. The rest is up to her. Look at her. Mio's being so freaking great about this whole thing. She's being like so understanding and like patient with Silver. Like not like patient like oh Silver, come on, hurry up already, but like a patient like, someone's dealing with stuff and they're doing their best to like work through it, and she's just being there for them as she can be, It's great. It's great. I need water because my mouth is inconceivably dry this morning. The first thing out of my mouth when I wake up is a sigh. Outside my window lurks a murky, gray morning, which feels like an omen. It's chilly and I'm tempted to stay under warm covers, but I force myself up and get ready and then go to breakfast. Julia and I chit-chat as we wait for Aspen to arrive, but she never does. By the time we finish eating, it seems pretty clear that Aspen won't be showing up. Oh.
She must still be asleep.
Just like the morning that Stella and her friends left, I'm guessing that Aspen's overslept. After Silver ran away last night, I was also kept awake with my thoughts for a while. I figured I'd be the last one to get to the kitchen. Aspen still has me beat, though. I try calling her, but it goes to voicemail. As soon as I hang up the phone, I return to my room. I put on my shoes and leave the library, waving at Juliet when I pass by the dining room. I'm sure... Oh my gosh, is this day really going to be a sad, sad omen? What's going on with Aspen? I was thinking her thing like, she was like, just up late working again last night, and that, she's working through things still, and that's not like good for her health, obviously, but I feel like, did something worse happen? That's the vibes I'm getting right now. I'm sure she knew what I was going to do as soon as I did. I'm not too worried about Aspen, at least not any more than usual, but I have a feeling she could use the support right now. I knock on Aspen's door and wait. Silence. I knock again and wait. I knock a third time, harder. Finally, I hear a sleepy voice from inside. Oh, sorry that made me laugh. I'm just nervous. When the door finally opens, I'm relieved to see Aspen is alright, or at least upright and unharmed. She definitely isn't doing great, though. Her hair is a mess, and she still has a blanket wrapped around her. As she stares at me blinking in the morning sun, she groans and holds a hand to her head.
God, what time? Ugh, come in.
I step inside gingerly, shutting the door behind myself. You know, there are some times when I read a line slightly wrong, but it's still like a correct way to say it, and it doesn't change the story at all. I just need to keep going with it instead of being like, I step gingerly inside instead, and then be like, oh, that's not right, and say, I step inside gingerly, shutting the door behind myself. Inside it's dark with the curtains drawn and all the lights off. Aspen immediately turns to her bed and lays down with another groan. As I walk towards the bed, my foot bumps against something on the floor. At first I'm afraid it's one of the cats. When I look down, I see it's actually an empty can. It rolls under the bed all the same. In fact, there are a few of the cans around. I pick one up because I don't recognize the label, and I can immediately identify it by the smell as beer. And there's that, May. I didn't even know, hang on. Like, obviously, there's nothing wrong with inherently, like, drinking alcohol, but from someone who has, like, as far as I know, has never, like, drank it before, to have cans all over her floor, like, if this started last night or even the past few nights, that means she is, like, just going at it, which, like, for anyone, is not a good thing. I've never had any alcohol, but I know enough about it from TV and my travels. I sit down on the bed beside Aspen, who's covered her face with a stuffed animal. Still, she manages to blindly fumble around with one hand until she finds and holds mine.
I'm late for
Aww.
breakfast, aren't I?
Yeah. I came to make sure you're okay.
She makes a sound that could be pain or just acknowledgement.
Sorry. You should have called. You didn't have to walk all the way here.
I tried.
Her other hand appears in the darkness, also fumbling around until she finds her phone, which is under a pillow just like her.
I'm sorry. I slept right through it.
Looking around her room, I notice more than just the beer cans. Her laptop is on the floor, half closed. Notebooks and papers are scattered around the room, not just on the desk, but everywhere. Last time I was here, her apartment was messy. Today, it's a disaster.
It's okay. No big deal. I'm more worried about you than anything.
I'm fine. I'm fine. The only problem is I slept in so damn late. I was planning to call out of work anyway. I need the extra time to finish my edits. And I may have had a bit too much to drink last night, which I'm really paying for now.
Oh, my audio completely cut out for a second, so I was like, did she finish saying it? Yes, she did.
I don't think you can call this fine.
Gently, I lift the plushie away from Aspen's face.
No!
Although she groans and makes grabby hands at it, she doesn't really try to stop me. Instead, she looks up at me with red-rimmed eyes and manages a smile. Aww. Gesturing for me to come closer, I lean down and Aspen pulls me in to kiss her. Her hand lingers on my cheeks when I sit back up.
Said I was fine now?
I still wouldn't believe you.
Oh. Although she pretends to pout, Aspen doesn't try to deny it again. Since she's not in any shape to sit up, I lie down next to her instead. I can't help but notice the makeup stains on her pillow.
2 days in a row now that I've gotten to wake up next to you. More or less? That's something good at least.
You
Yeah.
missed out on breakfast today, though.
I'll take that trade.
She closes her eyes,
It's also
yawning.
2 days in a row that I've overslept. I'd actually meant to get an early start today and work on my book a bit before going up to the library.
You were gonna get up early? When did you go to bed?
Aspen and I already said goodnight to each other before Silver showed up my window, and that was
I
somewhere
don't
around
remember.
midnight.
It's a little fuzzy, you know. I'm in the final stretch, though. I can afford to sacrifice a little sleep.
Maybe if it was just sleep. And just a little.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? Even Juliet can tell how exhausted you are all the time.
Even Juliet, hmm? Besides, it's only a couple more days. I have to finish and send it in by the end of Sunday, and then...
And then...
Then... everything can go back to normal. Like my sleep schedule. Then it'll be out of my hands and someone else's problem.
It's gonna be that easy? You'll just never have to think about your book again.
Well, no, of course, not like that. I hope not, at least. Unless the changes still aren't what they're looking for. But I don't even want to consider that. Oh God, I do not want to consider that. There'll be more work to do, of course. More writing and more editing. Hopefully not as much editing. I struggled a lot this time around because it was so different from the original manuscript and not the kind of thing I usually write.
Oh. So she is ending up after, like, changing it. Like, it's not really her story anymore. This is essentially what I'm, like, the vibes I'm getting from this, which is, like, that's sad. That's depressing.
But once I got the hang of it, it started being easier. So I think next time around shouldn't be as difficult, because I already know what they're looking for.
She has to stop and take a deep breath to continue talking.
That's not counting all the other stuff like paperwork and promotion and all that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, rights and licensing too. That's another thing to think about, but later. The first time I do all that might be tough, but it should also get easier, just like the editing. I've done a lot of research and...
I mean, unironically, I have heard from, like, professional writers that stuff does get easier because it's like, you're, like, walking into something blind, you don't really know how to do anything, and then after you do it once or twice, it's like, oh, I get how to do this stuff now. It's easier to handle. Specifically like that stuff, like the licensing and paperwork and promotion, like that kind of stuff.
It does make sense, given what the best-selling trends have been lately. Usually I'm more into...
Aspen!
With a tiny hick, she cuts off
Okay.
mid-sentence.
I know that sounds like a lot, but...
Aspen, you can't keep doing this to yourself.
I don't like interrupting her, but I know where this is going. At my words, she does stop and gazes up at the ceiling before speaking in a very small
What can I
voice.
do, though? I know how hard it is to understand from the outside, but that's what it's like to be an artist. Opportunity rarely knocks twice, as they say. It could be years before I have another chance like this, if ever. Some things are worth persevering through. So what if I have to call out of work a couple times or miss some sleep? That won't matter in the long run. When there's a line of people waiting for a midnight release at the bookstore or posting fan fiction online, someday I'll forget all the bad stuff that happened or even look back and laugh. Someday it'll be worth it.
Oh, that's so hard, because, like, I'm sitting as someone who's also, like, trying to be, like, a writer and make stuff that makes people happy and excited like this. I'm like, I so get what she's saying, but, like, the story's doing a good job of, like, giving us her perspective and why this matters so much to her, but also showing us, like, why it's, like, so self-destructive to be doing this to yourself, and how it's important, like, why you need to take better care of yourself, essentially, and how it's, like, affecting even the people around you.
But who
She
cares
nods.
about someday when you're miserable now, love?
It feels strange calling her that, but also right. Just like when she said it to me, and it seems like it works. I hear her breath catch in her throat, and even as she turns to face me again, I can see a glimmer of tears in her eyes. More than ever, I wish I knew what to say that could help her. If Juliet was here, I'm sure she'd have some great advice to offer. It's hard for me to understand what she's going through. On the other hand, it's really easy to see how it's affecting
I know,
her.
I'm the last person who should tell someone how to spend their time. But it can't be worth feeling like this all the time, just so maybe someday it'll be better, right? Even if I don't know anything about writing or books or any of that, all of those next steps you talked about sound just as bad. You used to be so excited about your book, but now it just makes you sad all the time. If it would really get better after this weekend, that'd be one thing, but it wouldn't, would it?
I picked the worst time to take that drink. I expected a response from Aspen. Aspen slowly shakes her head. Tears silently roll down her face onto her pillow and hair. I scoot closer so that our foreheads are touching. Even then, I can barely hear her as she whispers.
I know that you're right and it won't get easier, but I'm right too.
Well, yeah, that's the hard part, is that you both are right. Like, for your dreams and what you want to do with your life and future, like, this is by all means an important thing to push through, but sometimes pushing through it isn't the healthiest thing to do.
All those things I said about maybe not getting another chance, or about how it's never easy for anyone, they're true as well. I wish it wasn't. I wish this wasn't my only choice, because it's not even mine anymore. It's not my story or characters, it's something else. But I don't know what else to do.
And see, that's the hard part too, of like, putting out that first thing is so important to actually like get like fans, get like the respect of like the editors and the publishers, like showing them that like what you make is like good enough essentially to pull people in. But at the same time, it comes at like sacrificing the story, which like Juliet herself told us, like she's been working on this for like ever. It's like so integral to like her as a person. That's how important the story is. So that's just so hard.
If my original story was any good, it wouldn't have been rejected so many times, or needed so many changes. And they're not bad changes either. They make sense. They're just not mine.
Are you really okay with that?
For all of about 2 seconds, she holds my gaze. Then Aspen truly bursts into tears. It might be her most honest answer yet. Her whole body shakes as she cries, and I do what I can to hold her. The two cats hop up onto the bed, concerned and investigating. The corners of my eyes burn too, not for myself but for Aspen and for the helplessness I feel. But also I recall what Juliet said, that this is something Aspen has to go through herself.
I am. I don't know. I thought I was. Kept telling myself I was, but...
It's hard for her to speak in between sniffles and sobs. I just let her cry against me, doing what I can, be there for her. She doesn't need to finish her sentence anyway. We both already know the answer. I stroke her hair and try to think of how to piece together what I want to say to her. It's tough because I know I don't have anything that would be helpful or might solve a problem. All I can do is be honest.
I don't know the difference between good and bad writing, of course. I've only ever read one book. But I still really like that book. Enough to read it again and again yesterday. And the only reason I could even do that is because you and Juliet seem to like books so much that I had to try them too. Spending hours hunched over that desk, copying those letters a million times, I wouldn't have done that for just anyone, you know? I'm glad I did, though. It was worth it just to be able to read The Fox in the Grove, even though I already knew the story. That was something I never understood before. Why anyone would want to read a book more than once. You already know what's going to happen. But because it makes me think of you, and that you wrote it just for me to be able to read, I don't think I'll ever be able to like a book more.
Wiping her eyes, she manages a shaky sigh that might be a laugh.
Well, I can't complain about that kind of critical reception.
Her sobs have gone back to being sniffles and hiccups, and she's slowly able to catch her breath. The pillow that we share is soaked with her tears, but I barely notice. The two cats are still nearby, and she scoops them up and pulls them towards her as well.
Guys are worried too, huh?
They both meow and protest as Aspen brings them up into our hug. There really isn't room, but Aspen manages to squeeze them in. They immediately hop away though, and she doesn't try to stop them. We snuggle for a bit longer, and then for the first time since she got into bed, Aspen sits back up and rubs her eyes. I sit up too, and she casually leans against me as she looks around. It's a lot brighter now than it was when I got here, even through the curtains.
Here, isn't it?
A little bit. Yeah.
Aspen reaches down and picks up one of the empty beer cans, examining it before tossing it into the recycling bin.
Anyways,
I didn't even know you like beer.
I don't.
Another can is on Aspen's nightstand, and she chucks it into the bin as well before gathering some of the scattered papers around the apartment. I help clean, throwing away anything that looks like trash and organizing anything that doesn't. Aspen takes care of all that, replacing her laptop on her desk and tidying some of the clutter. Finally, she opens the curtains and we sit back down. I wait for her to say something, since there still hasn't been any resolution. I don't have to wait very long.
I'm going to send an email to Avery and tell them I've changed my mind. And then I'm not interested in making the changes they wanted.
Yes, let's go. Let's go. Again, like, it's hard, because, like, getting that first thing published is always the hardest part. But you know what? I also fully respect sticking to, like, no, this is my characters. This is my story. I'm keeping them the way that I want it. Like, again, if it's, like, small, tiny changes, like, that's always fine, you know? But if it's like, hey, these characters completely be reworked, the story itself, just the dreadful, then it's like, don't change it. That's not your story.
Wait, you've already decided that?
I'm happy to hear her decision, but I wasn't expecting it to come this fast.
An answer soon, one way or another. To be honest, I was already thinking about it, and have been for days. In my heart, I think it's what I've wanted to say this whole time. But I kept telling myself that I should just try a little harder and power through. I could probably do that if I put my mind to it. But there was something you said earlier. And as soon as you said it, I knew you were right, because it was something I was trying not to admit to myself. That somewhere along the way, something I love had turned into something I dread. I pictured myself continuing down that path. If I lost that love forever, would it be worth it?
Nope,
It might
nope,
be.
nope.
It might not. There's no telling how it would go. But you're right that I have something to live for right now. And someone to love. And so I think
It's us. Or Miho.
that much is enough. More than enough, even.
Aspen leans in and I do too. Closing my eyes in anticipation, the relief that floods through me as I hear Aspen's words like glass of water after a long run. Pausing just inches from my lips, Aspen whispers just one more thing before we kiss.
Everything I need, right here.
The two of us linger around Aspen's apartment for a while longer. I play with the cats while Aspen collects herself and eventually manages to send off her email. Okay, I think that that's a pretty good place to end there for the episode. Obviously, I'm going to keep playing more because I'm like, oh, that just happened. That's so good. But that's where we're ending the episode for right now. That's so good. That's so good. I'm glad that we get, like, Aspen out of her slump, that she can be a little happier now, even if it does come with its own struggles. Obviously, like, not getting her book published, but, like, she'll get there. I have faith. I have faith in her. So, yeah, with all that being said, I'll see all you beautiful people. Also, I feel like I'm, like, over more than I usually am. Hang on. This is so stupid. You guys, I could have just done this between episodes, but, like, whatever. I'm just gonna go like that. There we go. I feel like I'm taking up less of the screen now. There we go. With all that being said, I'll see all you beautiful people. Was it worth it? Aspen's been pushing herself too hard and finally reaches her breaking point. I'll see all you beautiful people in the next one. Also, yeah, I'm still a little buggy. I'm still a little buggy. It's fine. I'll see all you beautiful people in the next one. Bye-bye.